How are you? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining me. This is Rock Paper, Water. We are painting, we've been painting owls. This has been challenging. I've said it before. I always say things are hard. I always say things are hard. Does it always need to be hard? No, but I don't know why. I don't know why I always say things are hard. It's unreal. But painting owls, I said it from the beginning. I didn't have a lot of experience with owls. I will no longer be able to say that. I cannot say that now, and I definitely won't be able to say that in a week or so. We've been having fun. Last week, this week, we've been painting the barn owl. Beautiful, very cute owl. Today, we're going to paint the owl portrait, the barn owl portrait. We've essentially been doing a lot of sketching, rough watercolor pieces. We've been having some challenges, some things not so challenging. We tried a new paint. We tried brushes that we hadn't used before for a while at least. Today, we're going to continue using usually the palette that we always use. Brushes I've used before and I've used them plenty of times, using the Raphael Soft Aqua Quill brushes, which are wonderful. I watched quite a bit of watercolor painting this morning and yesterday in the evening. I did a lot of watercolor sketching on the couch, and it was very relaxing. I needed that. I should do that more often. I get a little freaked out because I don't want water dripping down onto our couch, onto my lap, but I did manage to get it okay. I am going to continue using, where are they? These Core. I started using this brand, Core. Had used it before, but I tried to use it with a blending medium and it was very gooky. And that's the only way I could describe it. Very gooky, very bubblegummy. They are a little difficult to use. They have that reputation. It is a synthetic binder. It's not very much of a synthetic binder. The rest is finely ground, which is very much like Holbein. And that is why I believe that the two can complement one another. These are very earth colors, Indian yellow Indian yellow and Van Dyke brown, colors I've never really had before in my palette. This is a little bit of a duller version or a heavier, duller version of quinacridone gold. They do have a quinacridone gold. I'm very curious to try it. I am going to continue using these. It was difficult, so this is going to be the X factor today. On our last stream, we had too many X factors. We had brushes we hadn't used before. We had paint we hadn't used before, using that paint. We tried different approaches. It was just, you can't introduce so many variables when you're trying something new. You have to have a sense of what goes wrong. If you introduce 2, 3, 4 variables, then it's very difficult to find out and understand what it is or isn't that changed. You may have done 4 variables, added 4 different things, 4 new things, paint, brushes, pencil, paper, whatever it is, and it went great. But then you don't know what it was that really made that difference. It's always good to introduce one at a time. I know that's a little conservative, but it is good, and it's a great way to learn, I think, and learn about yourself, all that good stuff. I have a portrait today. We're going to do the barn owl portrait. I had promised a barn owl portrait, or portraits, depending where we go, depending how we do. If we finish earlier, or maybe if things aren't going our way, we'll just grab another sheet and we'll start again. Right? Right. Let's go. Let's go. What are we doing with we have everything's all good. Everything's all good. Our music is all good. There we go. I know we don't want to hear the behind the scenes stuff, right? We have our apple. Let's get them right there so our folks can lick the apple. So they can lick the apple. I'm going to try to keep this loose. That is something that is a goal of mine. I've been going a little too strict. So today, or at least right now, we'll keep things loose. And I'm using a pretty thick pencil. It should glide over. That's the one thing that's good about one good thing about using hot press paper is that the pencil glides over really nicely. So if you do like to have a pencil drawing underneath your painting, this isn't a bad choice to have hot pressed or a cold pressed paper that just doesn't have quite the amount of tooth to it, that doesn't feel rough. That's what I mean by tooth. When you touch the paper, it has a little bit of texture to it. That's another way of saying it. You'll hear artists call it tooth. I'm not going to get too concerned about my pencil lines. Maybe they'll add some charm. Maybe they won't. Oh, here it is. Here is our Alula. That wonderful, wonderful named feather. Super cool feather. Such a beautiful feather. Keep adjusting. Go from a little lighter to a little darker. Get this whole wing here. That was one thing that we did on Wednesday is we got ourselves into a trap where we started having the wings, they were getting too close to the edge, and it wasn't a look that we wanted. We wanted to make sure that we got the full extension, so things got tight. Didn't realize that until later on. Which was a little bit of an issue. Belly going. Get that belly going. The cuteness, that face. We're talking about the face. We're talking about the challenges of painting white. I was watching an artist, I think I've been mentioning him before, the pretty popular on YouTube artist Shibasaki from Japan, uses similar paints that I use, Holbein, the same. Does not mix them with cord. This is my own little experiment that I've been trying to do. Maybe I won't use cord. We'll see how I feel. You know, sometimes you make those decisions at the last moment. No, you know what? I don't think that's going to work out. Feeling around, get the size right. Get the size right. We have that neck. Boom, boom. I know it looks crazy, right? It looks wild. Whole lot of lines going on, but that's okay. It is okay. We have our erasers. We have our sharpeners. This is a comfortable pencil to use. I'm surprised I haven't used it more. I like thicker pencils, thicker handles, thicker pen barrels. I just like the barrels and handles to be thicker. They're more comfortable for me in my hand. Where's this wing going? As always, you can find these. This is from video. Looking at videos, you know, I like to use videos. This is from a video. Let's scooch that up there. We're gonna let's do some scooching. I was setting up while I was setting up, I was watching Mocha Made, sibling Derek and Devin on Twitch, here on Twitch. There was an artist that came in, a jewelry artist, I believe from Germany. Really interesting thing. It's kind of fun. They use the word, well, I don't want to say it. It's not a bad word, but it's not a word that we should use to describe people. But it had a totally different meaning in German than it does in English. In German, it meant jewelry, whereas here in the States, it would mean something totally different. Let's see, we're gonna have to draw the shadows here soon. Get those shadows going. Again, I am still not erasing any lines. This is all just feel. Shibasaki would have been done already. He just does very, very loose drawing. I like to feel out the drawing. Maybe it's because I indulge myself. I enjoy drawing. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. Let's get that whole rib cage in here, right? Let's get that whole rib cage, that feel. Just feel around it. We'll do that too. I'm going to paint at least this version, depending how many versions we get. I'm going to try and paint the way I've painted before in one of the classes that I've worked, which is pretty loose, very expressive in the beginning. I've had success with that, painting the figure, very abstract, but I will take it a little further here because we have the time and just see what happens. I'm just curious when I paint that way, what will happen? Setting up the eyes here. Had a very nice compliment from, I believe it was Margot Simone, looked at my bird paintings and said that one thing that she really liked is how I painted the eyes fairly clearly, simple but in a clear manner. Simple but clear versus my loose painterly feathers in a number of paintings I had done. And I realized that, I don't know why, I never really thought about that. I know there's goals that I have in terms of how I paint, but that wasn't something that I thought about for some reason. I don't know why. but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a nice compliment. Of course, it was a nice compliment, but more so, it just got me thinking. Just got me thinking about how I paint. Just got me thinking about how I paint. Proportions are something in terms of the barn owl that of the head, I don't think I got right. I think I didn't get them right. Actually, that whole area of the beak, the center, does not go down that far. It doesn't go down that far, right? It doesn't go down that far. So that's something that I'm going to have to clarify. I'll have to clarify that first. We're going to do a little erasing, but you know, I wait a while to do that. I don't want to fuss too much. Not quite Shibasaki yet. I'm not quite Shibasaki. Maybe a highlight in there. This whole area is going to be a big highlight. That entire area, another big highlight. Top of the head right into there. Right here. Boom, boom. Over here. And we're going to see a little bit of those edge feathers. A little bit of those edge feathers. How far are we going with the head? Probably went too far here, right? I think we went too far here. Just goes there. That's right. Right there. Let's get that big line to guide us. Goes right there. Maybe thinking, wow, what a mess. What a mess of lines. What is this person doing? And we have our edge of the face over here. Face, that's not the head, that's the face. And that is the face. Continuing to feel around head, the neck, that rib cage comes out this whole area. Whole area here is the rib cage. Whole area here is that rib cage. It's all up in there. All up in there. Try to stay away from the details. Let's stay away from those details. I got caught up in the alula, my favorite, absolute favorite word. When it comes to bird anatomy, I love saying that word. It is just a magical word. Beautiful, beautiful word. Alula. The alula. Say that forever. I won't because you might get tired of hear me say that word. All right, let's get going here. We still have, you know, it's coming. It's coming. The proportions are coming along. What I will do is remove these excesses over here. Right there. Now we have that side. That looks good. The head looks good. The head looks good, everyone. Pretty good. Probably want to change something here. I could see that already, right? I could see that already. I saw that's a lot better. Maybe I went a little far, a little too sharp on that angle. That's why I went a little too sharp on that angle. So we're going to stay right in there. Whenever you're not sure, if you're looking at trying to control a curve, you're not getting that curve right, then go back to doing a number of straight lines. And you'll find that a lot more helpful. You'll find that to be a lot more helpful to get those straight lines going instead of the curve. Just take a straight line along each angle and you'll start to see and set that curve up. And sometimes you don't even need the curve. You'll notice that it works without that curve that you were trying to use. All right, we have our pencil. I didn't list a pencil. This is a Faber-Castell 8B, so it's quite a dark pencil. Haven't used these before, but I have to say I missed using them. I've used them a lot. I started using the Blackwing and I just never stopped using the Blackwing, but these are really, really, really nice pencils. Really nice. I'm trying to get that sense of that wing here, and then there's another wing coming down that, because this is the back, we have the back, it's turning, but that is the center right here. We have the center, it's turning because our friend's head is turning. Not quite getting that the way I'd like to, and because I am not getting that quite the way I'd like to, let's focus on the shapes around those wings. We'll clarify this as we go. There we go. A little bit. Now I'm seeing something. Distance. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Where the one edge of the wing goes. And then we have that leg. We may not even need to carry it off. Sometimes when things are cut off, like the legs or feet, I'd rather leave it open than connect it and drive it all the way through off the page. So I'll erase that and leave it undefined. Now looking at using the portions we have here, let's see if we can carry it right through, goes through the center. It's the center. That's where it is. That's where these wings meet front wing, the wing that's closest to us, and that back wing, far side, the wing on the far side. And I feel constantly am feeling these, feeling you see me going back and forth. But as I do, things start to clarify. Boom, boom, and boom. We have our Alula going right there. Meets right there in that shadow. Then it goes in this way. There we go. Think so. No. That wing, there's a lot more going on to that wing. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Did we not get this angle correct? Yeah, I think we did. That's the correct shape there. That is the correct shape here. That point of the wing of the arm, think of it as an arm, really. No, that's correct. That is correct. Boom. Yes, yes, and yes. All right, we need to start clarifying and just taking stock of what we have, removing some of these confusing excess lines like in here. I know we don't need that. And then the face, of course. We won't touch the face right now. Make corrections to the face. We already did that a bit. We don't need to do that anymore, I don't believe. This neck goes, I think we have less of an angle there. I think there is less of an angle there. Yes, here we go. That is a mistake right there. Okay, let's get that right. It's clarifying now. Because this is hot press paper, we have our little kneaded eraser. We're not pressing hard. The one advantage is that the graphite is softer. Graphite is softer, making it easier. As long as we don't press hard, it makes it easier makes it a lot easier to lift off the page. When we use something like let's say for example, a hard 2H, we can't really see what we're doing, so we tend to try to hit it harder. But here you see that it lifts pretty cleanly, which is helpful to us. Right, like looking at my own work here. There's some things, even though they're correct in the painting, in the image, our reference, I don't necessarily like the way they are. There. That was all good and correct. A lot of this is going to go bye-bye in our painting. So you say, well then, why bother painting it? I don't understand. Why bother drawing it? But it gives us some familiarity with our subject. This is the icebreaker. This is us getting to know each other. All right, we can remove and lighten up some of these areas. That's a little too much here. You don't need that. Face I want to clean up. And the reason I want to clean up the face is because most of the white is going to be located on the face here. I'll do the color swatching after this. There, let's see, right there. And going right across these lines here. Right across these lines here. I'm drawing a little bit here with our eraser. So I'm not just removing lines, I'm getting that overall shape, using to help get the overall shape and work the overall shape, the oval off shape. All right, this is another area where we're going to see big white area. I was watching someone paint cauliflower, and I think we, in general as artists, we underestimate the power and the beauty of a still life. They're good to do every once in a while. I don't do them. I don't find them unless it's landscape. I've been trying to work landscapes, but there's something about a still life maybe that I'd like to try. I'm going to make this whole area one shape. It's going to be one shape, lifting off and clarifying, just continuously clarifying what we have here. Probably a little line that I want there. I'm not going to mess around with it now. That eye area, this isn't the eye, this is the area of the eye. The eye is really, if you see it over here, right over there, and then we go on this side, and that eye is right in there. Line it right up with the edge of the beak. Just take a straight line. You always want to find those relationships. Those relationships really help. They're very helpful. And there you go, we have those eyes there. Make sure to correct little white. I'm not going to get all of this, but it's helpful to have it. And that is, we don't need this. So you see all those lines that we have, we're sculpting through them. Over here. So this is good. This is a good use of the kneaded eraser. This is what people mean when they say, oh, I'm drawing with the eraser. The eraser is a drawing tool, not a get rid of tool, removing tool. I'm working in these highlight areas, so areas white. Now, I distracted myself. I got off topic, a little bit off topic. As you know, that happens. Talking about white. And I watched this artist. As you know, I've been very obsessed with Shibasaki. He had this beautiful painting of cauliflower. I was talking about this because we have our subject here is white, right? Our subject here is white, so that's very difficult. White is difficult, right? White is a little difficult. But he managed to paint white. We talk about this all the time. It's easier said than done. There's no such thing as black. There's darker colors, but that look black next to others. However, we achieve those blacks with a combination of different colors. Even when you buy them out of the tube, those blacks are mixed. There's no, at least that I know of, I can be corrected. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But there really is no pure black pigment that I know of. Like I said, that I know of. That we have now. I still think that mask, the face, is going a little too wide. I don't mind it, may keep it, but it is going a little too wide. Right there, right there. This is a little stronger angle. Right there, right there. Let's see how that looks. See how that looks. Kind of strong white here. Nice strong white there. Right? That's a good shape. We have a little more going on here. Boom, boom. Okay, so now we see that we went a little too far here. Even here, going a little tighter. Goes right along the face. Right along the face. There's the beginning of a shadow there. And a shift right along the face. Past the eyes. And then dive down. That's alright. It's good. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to remove a lot here. This side here. Side there. This here. We want to come back up right there. Right there. Face. You want to exaggerate that face, but I went a little too far. This solid area of white. There's a big highlight coming. Sun's coming down here, bouncing off that form that's turning, bouncing off the light. So it's actually coming from this angle here. So right across. There's a little bit of reflected light there. Form. Really beautiful image. Really beautiful piece that we're going to capture. Right? What else? Let's clarify a little more. Have that right there. A lot smaller. We're really exaggerated, but that's better. Going bigger to smaller is easier than going smaller to bigger, I find. Right? Just a little easier. To me, it's easier. At least I find that to be the case. Had a little bit of a fun week, challenging week, some life moments. All good though now. Very happy that this week has come to a close and I can enjoy painting here. There we go. Good drawing so far. Good drawing. So I'm talking about our discussing white and how to paint white. Very interesting challenge. Really interesting challenge. So what Shibasaki says and does, as I said, I find painting black easier for trying to represent what we see or we think is black at first. It's somewhat like when you wake up in the middle of the night, go to the restroom, your bathroom, get a drink of water, everything's dark, and little by little your eyes begin to adjust. Your eyes start to adjust. You begin to notice some things. When it's bright white and you're blinded, that's hard. When it's very white. However, if you really think about it, there's a lot of color. There's still soft tones happening within that white. Really soft tones coming into the white. Very nice. Look at that. What we got? Yeah. There is a meaning right here. Feathers, the coverts here. It's a little rounded. And there's a little dig right there. There's a little detail right there. A little angle, a little triangle where these feathers break up a little bit. It's not quite big, but I'm going to exaggerate a little bit. My partner is talking to some friends in the other room and her laugh is genuine. It is a genuine, hearty laugh. A good laugh. Super good laugh. Some real separation of the marks on the feathers there. This is all again. There's a little bit of reflected light that happens right there. So you go through these lines here We're sculpting. How are you? Thank you. Stretch. Is there a way to stretch eyes? Is there a way to stretch the eyes? I don't know. You could blink, I suppose. Look up, do a little 2020. I should have a redeem of refocus the eyes. We'll redeem to refocus the eyes. Look away from the light. Look away from your piece. Look down. Maybe do one of these little massaging the temples and get back at it. How are you? How are you today? This Friday, we are wrapping up our barn owl week, I believe, unless folks have a different opinion, a strong opinion. I was going to move on to the tawny. I think it's a tawny owl. That's how it's pronounced. It's got a lot more variation to it. We're going to remove some variables that we had on Wednesday. Wednesday we had new paint. Wednesday we had brushes that we hadn't used in a long time. And I'm sure you know, the more variables you introduce, the more difficult things become and difficult to track what's wrong. And that's when things get confusing, which is never good. It's not good to be confused. All good. I'm pretty chill. Pretty chill. Ready for the weekend. Happy Friday's here. Happy to be doing this painting and just take my time and enjoy the painting. Enjoy the process. There's a way that I've painted, some techniques that I haven't done in a long while. And I think I haven't done them because I feel like they are not, I don't know if accurate is the word, but they're too expressive and they become abstract. But I think for the first wash, playing around with the paint, pushing around the water and sculpting the water, it might be a good thing for me to do at the beginning and give a bit nicer look to the light. The whites, that underpainting just has some nice variety. A lot of times that all disappears. I don't know. It's a thought. It's a thought that I had. Looking at some of, I don't know if I mentioned, I worked for a couple years, I worked in an expressive figure painting class that was with watercolor. And you really just went wild, just throwing paint on. I worked standing, using my whole arm, using my whole body. Imagine the difference of the painting if I stood and painted these pieces, these birds. What would that look like? Thank you for the lurk. I love my lurkers. Love my lurkers. There, Lula here. Beginning there. Drawing with the eraser. There. Giving it another little stripe there. And a little line here that we wanted because it has some shadow and markings. And while we might not capture all of it in terms of the markings, I want to at least indicate them. Noticing something here. Started to notice something right here. Maybe could fix this line just a bit. Doesn't go out that far. The back. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, go move along. That is not something I have to do. The complex thankfully has people that do that for us. Mow the lawn. Mow the lawn. Get rid of the leaves. That's always pretty noisy. Indicate the markings here. Markings are there. There's a set of markings right there. Dies right there. Right there. Where those markings go. Just indicate the area of the marking. Not gonna paint all the dots and whatnot. Move the whole area here because this white blends in from the neck to the mantle. This is the mantle. And then we'll clean a lot of this up with our white eraser. See, it's where my hand, it's where my hand erased hard away to get rid of all of that. All right, we're going well. All right, folks, we're going to take a 5-minute break and not just stretch, breathe, do a little meditation, look out the window. I'm looking out the window right now, but I'm going to go a little closer to the window, take some deep breaths, a handful, hydrate, and we will be back in 5. Thank you. All right, folks, we're back. We have our hydration, drinking the same apple juice all week, Martinelli's. That's good. We're going to finish cleaning up this pencil drawing. Pretty close. I feel like we're pretty close. Just get some of these excess marks out of the way. We don't need to get rid of everything. We're kind of sculpting just to leave a bit of the shadow in there. We will go ahead from there. We're going to do our swatching. We have our paper that's similar to this paper. It's the same paper. We always want to just rip off a piece of the paper that we had from an older painting we don't like. Whatever it is, you want to use the same paper to test your swatches, test your colors, test your consistency. I'll talk a little bit more about the palette and where we might use the different brands of paints, talking about opaque paint, watercolor paint. That's somewhere between gouache and watercolor. That thickens up the watercolor paint and removes that any bit of that transparency or gradation that you might achieve. We're going to keep painting, folks. This is talking about white. White is the big part of this whole thing. White is important. White is an important part of our piece. I'm also going to add, I think it would be nice to add maybe a little horizon line, possibly something like that. That might be nice. A shift in color right there. We'll have a shift in color happening in there. Maybe another shift somewhere in here. Just indicate it lightly. Like I said, we're pretty close. We are pretty close. I want this line that's a little too complete. It's too strong. It's not. Break it up a little bit. Break up that line a little bit. There's areas here where we give a little bit more curve to that line right there. We have our little area that's round. This is coming here. That shape right there. There's a shape right there. There is boom, boom, boom. Another shape, another set of, these are actually the markings. Another set of markings right there. Right there. Come in here. This is a good approach. I like this approach. I very much like this approach. All right. The alula. We have our alula. I just wanted to get some water. And there is a mystery smell in our refrigerator. We've got a mystery smell, folks. Oh no. The worst. The worst. I make it a point always to be really good about eating everything that we have in our fridge, not wasting. But I think there's some leftovers, unfortunately, that stayed a little too left over. And we're going to have to correct that today. I know that was a little too much information. That was too much information, everyone. I know. I apologize about that. What if we did that line? That's a nice line there. Yeah, it's a little more complex. That's a nice line. And that allows us to give a little more character to that rear wing there. Again, this is how we use our pencil, our eraser to draw, not just clean up lines or remove what we might think as mistakes. We're using it as a way to draw, show the areas of light, dark. It's a good one right there. This, again, thinking about what colors of white, what are the colors inside in our whites. Shibasaki, the video I was watching today, he was painting cauliflower and he used a lavender or a light wash of purple and a light wash of a yellow. He used a yellow ochre. It's very nice. Turned out really nice. Very nice painting. Beautiful. And just so effortless and casual. He is so good, everyone. He's so good. So good. I hope to be like that when I get towards that age. I'm probably going to be more like Pop, probably. Probably going to be a lot more like Pop. It's not a terrible thing, but definitely a cat. All right. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Let's get the shape here. Have that shape in there. Have that shape in here. Clean up this face here. Actually have a shadow that goes here and indicate it. This is a boom, boom. Maybe a little bit of boom here. Maybe a little bit of boom there. Remove all of that. I do want to remove this here. Then we have this area here. It's a little bit of, what do you think? Do we think this is a little smaller? Our friend here? Is it a little smaller? It's a little smaller? I don't know. What do we think here? Maybe, yeah. That looks good. That looks a little better. I don't want to refine this too much because then we're going to be fiddling and fiddling and fiddling. And I've been finding lately that when I fiddle around too much, the piece doesn't look as good. I'm not going to erase all these lines. All right. Almost there. Almost there, everyone. I mean it. I really do mean it. We're almost there. We have our lula is actually here because we have this triangle shape. Goes right here. It's a triangle that goes right here. And that is, we have some shadow going. So right here, there's a big shadow. We see some of our secondary feathers coming out here, dropping right into that shadow. There's one coming here, one feather coming here. Actuality. Right, let's clean this up a little bit. and clean that up. Have this entire area is going to be, see, we don't have to go and try to erase each line we don't like. We just cut through them and you start to see, here I'd like to clean up a little bit. So I grab a little bit of a harder eraser, right? You see it right here. This is an example. Pull it away. But with the kneaded eraser, we're doing a little more drawing. I like using this pencil more, this darker, softer pencil. On the black wing, the matte black wing, I think is appropriate too. A little bit of, there's a little square here. Look at that. I just noticed what happened with the legs here. We're not seeing that. The edge of this triangle, and that makes our little change, and that looks a lot better. So this is all shadow. All that is shadow. We come halfway up into the shadow, and that is where we said our Alula is. There. That's awesome. Whole area then is in shadow. Grab those negative shapes, and those negative shapes are those secondary feathers that come out really nicely. Don't need to draw every one, but I think I've mentioned before, wherever there's a turn when it comes to birds in the wing, it's nice to indicate one or two feathers to show off that, and that'll help us show off those different. All right, we are working with grease. Indicate some of these markings here. We're going to create a little more roundness in this area here. There, it's a little more of a round shape there. A little more round shape there. Have another shift in the feathers. Someone told me in one of the classes that I work, the new class actually, talking about birds and painting birds, and was saying that her husband loves painting birds. And the one thing that they noticed, hey, Artful Turkey, really like the way you draw. I've always been partial to a very jagged style of drawing. Thank you. I used to draw with sweeter lines. An instructor called them sweet lines, which is essentially very swoopy lines, which isn't bad for gestural painting, but I have grown to love, or I wouldn't say love, but I aim for a nice combination of straight and round. I was talking about before how if you're not clear on how to draw a round shape, a sphere, whatever, there might be a sphere, to draw straight lines around where that sphere is and just keep kind of chopping into it as if it's a piece of rock, no pun intended, the round shape will start to appear. You could tell how much I like drawing because I think I spend more time drawing than I do painting. It's a dead giveaway that I really enjoy the drawing process. Some people don't. I love it. And by just going at it today, I really wanted to go at it, throw a lot of lines. I mean, these are all lines. I'm not going to erase every single one of these lines because they were wrong or they were too far out or too far in. I have the kneaded eraser, so I'm using the kneaded eraser as recommended, which is to sculpt into all those lines and get something out that's pretty nice. I hope something vibrant and lively. That is the goal. It's always the goal. See, these two wings, they meet and they're not a separate line. They meet and there's no line there where they meet. That is something consider. These feathers show the contour of those feathers. We're pretty close here. We're painting over this, and I don't want to take too much time painting either. I want to keep it loose. And if that's the case, maybe we do two versions of this piece and see which one we like more. So an artist, longtime artist who did these pieces, did these studies of Rembrandt's lions. Big sheet of paper using brush, brown ink, walnut ink, I think, maybe. What I noticed, well, what was pretty impressive, I don't know if I would say impressive, but it left an impression, I should say. That left an impression was he did 3 versions of it. He painted it 3 times, and he recommended that you do that. Paint it 3 times. I know that's kind of hard, right? That seems like a lot of work. But in painting it 3 times, he ended up achieving a really nice, one of them is going to come out. One of them should come out pretty good. We hope. Right, we have that line there. And then see the bottom edge of our bird there. Where that ring edge, that edge ring of feathers that comes out, point the tips of those feathers that radiate from the eyes to cover the ears, and they pull in that sound. It's an amazing thing that I learned. If I learned anything about owls this month, that was a pretty cool fact. Why do they have that big face? What's the reason for it? What's the purpose? Because even though it's beautiful, there's a purpose. There's a definite purpose to these things. Even if it's pretty, there's a purpose for it. This is pretty good. I'm going to lighten these lines up for sure. Just going to do it gently. I think I have a bigger kneaded eraser somewhere here. Probably. I probably do, but I don't see it right now. Of course I don't. Of course I don't see it right now. Okay, so we're going to just roll this close to done. Again, I don't want to get too fussy with the piece. Gently, not too hard. Just to lighten these lines up a little bit. Not too much. I should be able to see them after the first wash. If I don't see them again after the second wash, that should be okay, because that I would have already defined some of those bigger shapes, is my sense. Okay, this looks pretty good. I'm not going to get to just indicate here that triangle right there to define the eye. If you define the area outside of the eye, it'll help. You won't have to really do much inside of the eye. Get that shape there. And I'm drawing around the eye. This is the shadow all around the eye. Where these corners meet, it's all shadow around the eye. Probably not going to get to most, if not any of those details. Same thing here. We want to indicate that little bit of side. There, tone that down, and we'll be good to go, folks. This was a good approach to drawing a piece. And noticing now that shadow, this is not flat. It looks flat, but it's not flat. And that is a challenge that we need to consider. This is not flat. The face is not flat. Even though you see this huge disc, it's white. It looks flat. It is not flat. That is a challenge and a half. That is definitely a challenge. There's a number of wispy little character lines there. Don't need all of them. Then I will boom, 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 clean that off. There's nothing there. So that I want to erase and get rid of. I think we're good, everyone. I struggle so much with portions. I can draw pretty well, but things always just turn out looking like the dollar store version. The dollar store version of whatever I'm drawing. Don't knock the dollar store. Actually, I don't like going to the dollar store. My partner loves the dollar store. I don't. That's just me. They do have better things. They do have things that kind of solve immediate problems. But I know what you mean. Proportions are... I wish I could do... Everybody comes for a watercolor, but I would love to do one day maybe just a deep dive kind of workshop style live stream about drawing. I do think it's my strength, and I talk about, things about design, about composition, looking at these areas here, those shapes, thinking about all the design part, but also proportions, how to figure those out, the combination of seeing, observing, and knowledge. Those two, about figuring out relationships. For example, we had this huge head, and then I started looking at the relationships between the eyes, from the eyes, outside the eye. So from the eyes, the relationship from the eye to the edge, and notice that's about one eye. The eye, the angle of the eye from the outside to the tip of that beak, that really was a good tell. Same thing with the side. Look how far that face was when I started. It was basically making it flat. This is a 3/4 view. This owl had no business having a face on the far side that was big. I could even bring this in a little further, honestly, which maybe I will. Now that I mention it, maybe I will. Just grab that edge there, say just a little bit there, a little right to that edge there. And there we go. I'm done and made you second guess yourself. No, it was because we were in the middle of that thought. I'm going to snooze one. I get 3 snoozes. That's my first snooze. I'm snoozing ads here. No, it is. I mean, I could fuss with these things all day. Like I said, I enjoy drawing maybe a little more than I enjoy the watercolor, but in part I think is because I just feel more confident. Whether it's true or not, I just feel more confident because I've been drawing such a long time, and I've been drawing so much I've drawn so much. I don't missing having to run ads. Yeah, I try to time them. I try to time them with the breaks, and Twitch does say, listen, sorry, but it's time for ads, so let's go. I do my best. I like to time them. I do have an automatic command because I could actually run ads whenever I want using whatever Twitch commands they give you. If you notice, when we have breaks, I always run ads just so it counts towards my ad budget or whatever it is that they assign to me. This way, when it just means that there's less ads during the live stream, I think that's what happens. Part of me wonders if that's even the case. I don't know. I think it means I run less ads, but I don't know. I don't know. I posted a question in the Discord, the Ask an Artist section. And I was thinking about core. Well, I guess we could start talking about that when I get into the color palettes. We'll do that now. I'm calling this set. I think it's fine. This is a drawing for a painting. It's not, the drawing isn't the final piece. If the drawing was the final piece, I'd probably do other things to it. However, this is not the final piece. The final piece is a watercolor painting, and it would be great if we try to do as that. I wish I remember the name of the artist slash instructor who did the 3 versions really big from standing, was right in front of a big table. And I mean, the size of, at least the size of our dining table. We have a 4-chair dining table, at least that big. I'm thinking 24 by 36, maybe. The paper was maybe bigger. Had it laying down, and there is a lion pen and ink drawing, or brush ink drawing, that Rembrandt did. Rembrandt, he drew so much, did so many. He was so prolific, so much work. Aside from his paintings, the etchings, and his brown ink drawings, I was very fortunate. Maybe 10 years ago, there was an exhibit of all of his drawings at the Met. It was packed. The drawing section of the Met is not that big. It was packed. It's another one that you look at, it's like, this is so effortless. It's just blobs of ink, but then it looks amazing. This artist, also a Dutch artist, who I suppose was a Rembrandt expert, big line paintings, big brush, did 3 versions of it. Of course, to me, the 3 were all good, but at least had that choice to say, okay, one of them's gonna hit, no matter what. Even if the first one hits, do 3 of them. I thought that was a really good attitude. I don't do that enough. I don't know if it's because, you get tired after a while and you don't want to look at but I thought it was a good way to go, and just go right into the next one. Don't hesitate. I like that approach that he did, and I'm thinking about doing that, whether it's on on camera or off camera. We'll see. I'm liking how this is going. I am going to start setting up the watercolor palette, and we'll take a look at a few. I'm going to set this aside. Grab our sheets of, where I think this is, doesn't matter if it's dirty or not. We have you could see we have a little bit of a disaster over here. Let's go look at this. Don't know what's going on here. Are my ads not showing, folks? My commands? It's a little weird, right? That is a little strange. Let's see some. You have no ads? Okay, good. Now, I want to see something. Oh, thank you for the subscription. Thank you, Artful Turkey. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I haven't signed up for Prime Gaming. I feel like, because my wife and I, we share the same Amazon account, and I worry about what Amazon and Twitch are going to say to each other when it comes to gaming. I think about it. I don't want to know what games it recommends. I don't want to know. Sure. Who knows? Maybe I'll connect them. Maybe it's worth connecting. At the very least, it gives me an opportunity to do a Prime Gaming sub for someone. That'll be really nice. So does it mean, you said you stopped the affiliate? Does that mean that people can't sub to your channel anymore? You're gonna nickel and dime Bezos to the ground. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You got rid of it. Okay. So you can't do that. I hear you. I don't know. We'll see. It's going well so far. And it's an extension of my day job, if you will. It's just an extension of everything. I'm going to paint anyway. This keeps me accountable. I like that. If I make a little bit that helps pay for some watercolor tubes. My goodness, as we artists, we all know watercolor is certainly not free. And paper, oh my goodness. I think going through the paper, that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother. Let's clean this up. I always seem to accomplish. I never have a clean palette when I show up on stream. Oh my goodness. Let's set these to the side. Have a little bit of a wreck in back of me. It was a pain in the butt for me in tax season. Oh, really? Huh. Oh, because you're in Canada. Is that why? When I was prolific on Twitch, it was great. It did pay for my supplies. I also had a 3D printer that got paid by the channel. My art camera as well. Awesome. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's fantastic. You know, a lot of this that I have, I already had it for my classes, my job at the atelier. So when the pandemic hit, this online program started. I went from working in the studio to all of a sudden becoming a technical assistant slash teaching monitor assistant, teacher's assistant. And I think I mentioned this before. I probably said this before. I started watching Twitch to learn how to play Magic the Gathering because my nephew was trying to get me into Magic the Gathering. I found out there were some Twitch people playing, and that's how I kind of learned. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool and interesting. I like YouTube. I never really used Instagram. I like YouTube. I figured I had tried to do a YouTube channel and I just failed miserably. Ironically, this is helping me get some videos on my YouTube channel because it's so much work, the editing. But I saw this and I was like, well, I have everything I need to do that. I have the same setup. This is the setup pretty much. That's what made me kind of get into it. I didn't know, I was ignorant to all the other things that you need to do for live streaming. But yeah, as an artist, since art is basically my income, all different forms, and it helps. It's an extension of what I already do. So in that sense, it's convenient. If nobody shows up, even if nobody shows up, that was the first thing. We're talking about immediate goals. My partner's like, look, if nobody shows up, it's fine. You're painting anyway. And if you put a schedule, you stay to the schedule, you're recording your sessions, and that's good for you. Even if I don't post them, when I go back and look at the VODs and when I download them, what's really nice is I get to see what I did and didn't do wrong, what I could have adjusted. It's helped me a lot. It's helped me in that sense as an artist. Doing it, you know, I increased the hours so I could paint even more and make sure that I painted even more. It is a little different to paint on camera and chatting than it is painting on my own in nice quiet, or painting with the class. Painting with the class, it's about the same. But yeah, I like it. I definitely like it a lot. All right, some color swatching. As you know, I use, if I can, video. I take stills, I change those stills, I adjust the coloring in those stills to get what I want, the colors I want, the light that I want. And then as the painting goes along, I make my changes. By the time everything's said and done, I have something very different from the still from of that video that I decided to use, that I'm working from. Again, I work from a lot of reference throughout the week. You saw that, you've seen that Monday to Wednesday, then again today, and they all are pretty helpful. Getting a lot of water down. Not sure about this core. I forgot to mention, I forgot to complete that thought. I had posted, or I have, there is a question I posted. It's a little long-winded question, surprise, surprise, about core and introducing core into my palette with Holbein, because I have a new instructor that I'm working with who uses Holbein, but also has started using core, I guess, in the last year or so. And she's pretty experienced, and she was talking about how to use it. A lot of things you've probably seen online, you know, dilute it more. I also saw someone in a watercolor forum talk about starting to use core with their Holbein paints. Thought that was interesting that I ran into two completely different people, different organizations or groups, both doing the exact same thing in terms of having Holbein in their palette and then squeezing fresh paint from core into like their bigger areas when they paint. So they're not including it in their own palette. They don't have a palette of core. Though from what I understand, It dries well and it re-wets well. It has that property that Holbein does. The synthetic binder that it uses apparently is not, it's quite thin. Shadow. I want to work on the shadow first. Shadows are going to be blue. I'm going to use blue shadows. I was talking about Shibasaki. He was painting cauliflower and how he used opposing colors to describe the shadows, shifting the shadow to light. And what if we use something like, this is an ultramarine. It's a little strong. I think the ultramarine might be a little strong. No, that's not bad. That light wash there of ultramarine, it's not so bad. And then go in, what if I tried a lemon yellow? No. Let's see, what if we mixed, thinking about this the other day, what if I mixed Jaunt Brilliant with some lemon yellow? It's going to be more opaque, so I definitely would want to thin it out more. I have a little bit of green in there, and I probably would want to go with something peachier, maybe. That's not really an opposing color, but that's another color that we can include in that first wash. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to end up cleaning this up anyway. So what if we have that blue with burnt sienna, which is a type of orange. It's like a light red. It's considered a light earthy red. So that would be an opposing, using opposing colors there. That might be nice. That might be nice. We're going to, just after this, I'm going to take a break. Oh, actually, no. We still have time. Take a break in, I don't know, let's say 5-10 minutes or something. Let's say 5. Trying to time my breaks a little better. Time my break a little better. Make sure I still have enough steam here. Okay. Trying a, this quinacridone gold I like. That also could be good. It leans orange, quinacridone gold. What if we use that? It's a little too bright. It's a little too bright. What if I mix that quinacridone gold with I believe we get confused. I'm going to clean this up eventually. It's magenta, I think. It's red here. Quin gold with this, I think it's an opera. I think I should know, right? I should definitely know. Yeah, that's a little more of a nice orange there versus that little peachy orange between Quin Gold and Opera with that. What if that was the first wash from shadow and the warmer lights, the warmer midtones? So this is a warm midtone. And those are indicating the shadows. And of course we have our white that are going to be where between those two. And we hope that, or I hope that, if I were to do, let's see, let's put these together one side by side. Did this side by side. Again, we have Quin Gold. I may have to refresh this palette, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. It's Opera. It's a little too orangey. It's a little too orangey there. I'm a little crazy with that orange, with that Opera. I bring it up to that edge, right? What happens if there's an edge there? What does that look like for a highlight? That make a nice highlight. Of course, this is going to dry a lot lighter. The other thing that I realized about Core I didn't know is that it actually dries the way you put it on, which is amazing to me. This is one test card. And that's one test card. Let's see if I could turn that over, let it dry a little bit. I do have my heat gun today, thankfully. That is going to be helpful to move things along. Now I have an Indian yellow from Core. Oops, almost lost my apple. Almost lost in here. My little characters licked the apple too hard. They licked the apple too hard. Okay, what about if I were to just remove this area that I have of burnt sienna real quick, and I'm going to squeeze a dot of that Indian yellow, and I'm going to put it on the other side, right along that edge too. And I want to see how, I'm just going to squeeze that dot. See that right there? Just a little dot, because a little bit goes a very long way when it comes to this. This is a mix of Opera with quinacridone gold. It's actually quite nice, and this can help make a variety of skin tones. If you work and you paint people, and create a nice variety of skin tones with this combination. This is Indian yellow from Core. Similar tone, a little more yellow to it, not as peachy. I'm gonna paint it as is, and I'm going to see which one I like the way it dries. Is this going to dry the exact same tone that I see on the paper? I don't know. You could already see that this is drying quite light, which is okay. It's okay. I'd probably add a little more of the blend between the two in the darker areas for the second wash, or another wash there. Let's see how that dries. Where is that? Where are you now? I know you're hiding somewhere, heat gun. I know you're hiding. Where are you? It was hiding somewhere. A little heat gun. All right, folks. Pardon the noise if you hear our heat gun. All right, that's dry. That is dry. Dry pretty quickly. Look, it did dry exactly as I put it on. Dried exactly, which is nice. There was no shift on when it dried. No shift whatsoever. This also didn't really shift. You could see the water bounce back up. That's called a cauliflower. Speaking of cauliflowers, that of course shifted lighter, which is usually what we know about watercolor, that lighter colors will shift light and there's some colors that will shift darker, but usually lighter. How does that look? That's a nice look. And I like using right out of the tube if I can, especially with Holbein, because I do notice that if I mix, depending on what colors I mix, two the most, can't really mix a third, it turns to mud. That happens in general, but for whatever reason, with Holbein, it does that more. So these are pretty bright and sweet colors. They're higher key. It might seem odd to have them. I will have to water this down a little more so that we have this area here. I am going to be a little more expressive with this. I am going to paint the background on this. The background is going to be a combination of this Indian yellow and that Van Dyke brown that I have. Light, but I do want to get it down and just paint the whole piece in one on that first layer instead of kind of pecking away. All right. I think that makes sense, right? Sort of, kind of, sort of, maybe, sure. All right, let's get that Van Dyke brown in there and see what it looks like. Get that Van Dyke brown. I'm going to clean the rest of that. That's not bad, honestly. That isn't bad. I can continue with that. I could do that opera with quinacridone gold. It is a really pretty color there. It is a really pretty color there. Right? Decisions. I was talking about opposing colors, blue and orange, light wash to give us our shadows and midtones that will hug the highlight, because we see this bird and what we see is white, but you look closer, it is not white at all. No. It's not white at all. All right, this is Van Dyke brown. I'd like to see how that would go down on paper, surrounding our here, that, or maybe a sap green blended with sepia or sap green blended with yellow ochre. Maybe doing a combination. This is not these. Why is this paint not securing? There we go. All right, same thing. This is a cheaper, same line, soft aqua from Raphael. They run really small. This is a number 20, which is ridiculous that this is a number 20 when you think that silver black velvet, that is a number 20. So look how small this brand runs. This is soft aqua. These are their round brushes. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend them if this your main round brushes are going to be what you paint with most. I'm using it to mix. They're cheaper, but my goodness, look at that. Look at that difference. Both number 20s. These run incredibly small. Incredibly small. All right, let's get a little bit of wash from this is the Van Dyke brown. It's got a little bit of red to it. And I'm going to paint around this whole area here. Paint around on either side. See how that looks there. See how that looks if I come in, paint over, kind of glazing. What would that look like? And what would it look like there? Just messing around. This is just me messing around to see what that would look like. It's a little too sweet still, but as a base wash, it could be nice. And then drop in some deeper greens, maybe mixing a yellow ochre with a marine or something. That might be interesting, and dropping it in. What happens if we dropped it in right now? This paint dries incredibly fast, core, on hot press paper. Incredibly fast, just almost too fast. It drops some. This is marine blue that I'm allowing to drop in there. This will be for the background. Tossing it over, playing around with the paint in these swatches while I can. It's messy, but I want to see that might work. Okay. All right, folks. So we're using ultramarine, Holbein's ultramarine, Holbein's marine, and then we're using Core's Indian yellow and Core's Van Dyke brown for our first wash. That's what we're going to use. I will be back, take a little break, and I will see you in 5 minutes, and we're going to start painting. All right, folks, I'm back. We're going to get going with our painting here. talk a little bit about what we drew here. This is our owl. What are we doing? Seeing a little bit too much of that camera. Okay, taping things down. Push this a little bit. There we go. And I'm just going to leave it like this while I mix paint. I'm going to tape this down first and then get into our, again, we are going to use a mix of ultramarine blue from Holbein, Indian yellow from Core, and that's going to be our shadow in midtone. We're going to do a background using Van Dyke Brown and marine blue from the Van Dyke Brown is Core, and the marine blue is Holbein. We have another test card that we're going to use, and that's going to help not just the colors, but the consistency. And I'm grabbing these with my toes to try that someday. Do a toe painting, get the sides down, and maybe using the mister a little bit today because this is a hot press paper. Look here. All right, there we go, folks. Finishing taping up. What do we have here? We have this this useless AAA card. We'll use that maybe later. So here to the side. Let me grab one more side. Keep this one side on the left, and we're good to go with our mixing. There, good. Test our paint. We're going to use these quill brushes, which I've used before. Use the sides. We're going to, this is a pretty cheap brush I'm going to use to mix. I'll go in here, make sure that plenty of this ultramarine blue, have a lot of it, big pool. Never want to have to mix while you're painting. Nice big puddle. And because our quill brushes, they soak up a lot of water, we might want to make sure we have plenty of it so that we don't lose. There we go. That's nice. And that will dry soft. Do a lot of wet and wet. Let things bleed and play. We mentioned we are going to use this Van Dyke Brown and Indian yellow. Indian yellow is going to be the opposing color for our ultramarine blue. It's a yellow with a little bit of orange in it. Don't really need a lot. These colors, these tubes are essentially pure pigment, similar to Holbein. There's no dispersant, so it's a lot less that needs to go into the tube. Van Dyke Brown is going to be our background color, and then we're going to drop in marine blue as a wet and wet technique for that. And then we'll set those aside, and we probably won't use them. Maybe later if we try to do some dry brush effects. Just hit that area here, any of it, get a nice big puddle. Again, using a warm color. This is always the case where you use a colder color for the shadows and a warmer color for the highlights. For example, I might want to use the Van Dyke Brown for the shadows, which has a little bit of red in it, but still color you wouldn't necessarily want to use. Maybe the green for the highlights then, in that case. Van Dyke Brown with a green for the highlight, or excuse me, for the midtones. The highlights are the white of our paper. Ideally, we could do a good job of respecting that. This Van Dyke Brown in. This is for the background, so we want a lot of it. Cover a lot of area. And what you might see me do is come in with a marine blue, just wet the whole paper. Let's see because that's as dark as it's going to show. There's some areas where maybe we could flow it right into here. It's a little bit and blend it with that blue. I'm going to try to be pretty organic. Use the really big brush, using the mister to keep everything pretty humid. I'm spraying directly onto a piece. Clear the chat just to get rid of do a little cleaning up, make it look a little cleaner. All right, everyone, let's get going. It's going to be using a big quill brush here, Van Dyke Brown here, and maybe we'll do something like this. Using the side of the brush there. Grab that marine blue. Already went a little too far on that area. Trip. It's going to pull a little bit of this off using the side of the brush. Okay, if it goes slightly, same thing here. And if it sneaks in here and there, that's okay. Using the side of the brush. Okay, then I went over there. And that is that for our background, mostly. Super loose background. All right, we have our midtone shadow area. And that definitely is okay if it blends into the background. That's pretty nice. That's okay. That is pretty nice. Cool. A little farther. Let's get our midtone. We have a midtone up in here. Midtone down in here. It's a little green. That's up. And let's go into our warms in this area here. Probably don't want to do that far up this area there. I'm just gonna pull that. And that was a little too strong. That was a little too strong. And I do want to add some area here. And it can bleed, that's okay. This can bleed. Go right, and that can bleed right there. Okay. Oh, what else is okay? Most of some more shadow going on here. We have, there's a little shadow, more shadow in there, shadow in there. Have a little blend. These two blend here. We'll leave that highlight there. There are right there. And I'm going to grab some water, some of this bleed and blend. We've got our friend over here next door. The new someone's moving in because they've been doing a whole lot of construction. Maybe a little more blue on the belly here. And yeah, let's go right there, all the way up. There's no highlight there. There's highlights here. There's highlights on that area of the nose. I say the nose. It's not really a nose. And that's pretty much to lift. Dropping in some wet and wet. Now with the other bit of color, add a little Van Dyke brown in some of these shadow areas. Pull in some of that background color in here. And it's okay if it drops a little bit. That I didn't want, but add it to go. It's a little more blue in here. Notice all these things. All right, there we go. Interesting. Blue in here. Do you want a bit of that blue? I want that. And yes, there's a little bit of graphite that's blending in, but I'm not going to get too, again, we're not getting too fussy. All right, we're gonna let that dry. We'll have that dry. While it's drying, I'm going to mix our next opacity, I should say. Similar colors, just a little more opaque here and there. All those, the freckles and markings and things like that. Some of the markings we're going to go for, but a lot of these markings we're going to leave as is. A lot of those markings we're going to leave as is. Now, colors. Colors. What colors do we want to continue using? What colors do we want to carry over? We're going to go into the details like the eyes, the beak, and the immediate areas around those. How do we pull that off? What's the plan? What's the plan, Sam? What is the plan? Head into let's grab, actually I want this whole area here. That's a shadow there. Almost forgot that. And that is a shadow here. I almost a little bit there. And then a little yellow here. A little more blue here. And this should more or less disappear. We're going to see a lot of pencil. I'm okay with that. Maybe if we have time, we could do a second one. That would be really nice. We do a second piece, right? That would be pretty nice. So I'm going to mix. Let's think about this. What do I want to mix? We have our test card somewhere. So where is that test card? Oh, that test card is right in my hand. That test card is right in my hand. Try to keep things in your less dominant hand and everything else in your dominant hand. All right, darker darks. The eyes, the beak, and then we have some of these freckles in the other areas. We're going to add some of these darks along where the pencil lines are, and then we will see where we are from there. So eyes, beak, all around here, all around underneath this whole shadow area here. That's a lot deeper. This area is a lot deeper, so let's go for the deeper shadows, which are this entire area has to go darker, and along tail feathers here. So this is where we want to be right now. We'll drop a little bit in the eyes. We won't think about it too much. The eye will be a Van Dyke brown, which will go sepia, and then at the darkest part, we'll see how we do that. We have our other midtones, the yellows, the reddish yellows. Those are going to be around these markings in here. We have to do those lightly. We're probably going to use a split hair technique, I think. I'm going to use a split hair technique for that. I think we're going to move away from our ultramarine and use a slightly diluted, a diluted indigo for those shadows. And this tube is not very cooperative. All right, that Indian yellow, I'm going to remove that Indian yellow on that side. We will go with a burnt sienna in here, burnt sienna, quinacridone gold. What I'm doing is grabbing, let's see how thick we can get it. We want it a little thicker. That's thicker. So that is pretty good. Squeeze out as much as you can. Here we're going to do indigo. We're going to use our indigo. It's right there. And that we don't want to use too thick. That one we're going to soften with, it's going to be basically a glaze, and we'll soften it using a smaller brush for the feathers to indicate some feathers there. Looks a little dark, but I will go lighter. So in that shadow area, I'm going to use a glaze, which means it's probably the same consistency, one color over the other. I'll grab the heat gun and make sure it's nice and dry. And then for darks in this area, we'll use that Van Dyke brown, and that is going to be a little thicker for the left eye, that darkest dark. And then for the beak, I'm going to leave the beak until later. It's too small of an area. I would even leave probably the eyes, but we'll touch it. We'll tap on it. Should be about that, yes. About the same consistency as that burnt sienna. That's good. All right, that's good. Indicate. First work into this shadow area, this whole shadow area in here. There's a little sharp shadow that's in there I may have lost, so I want to recover that. That might be with the burnt sienna. There are some markings here that I'll go in with later on, and that's going to also be with the a little thicker indigo. But first, we'll go ahead and do this glaze. And this glaze, I'm going to sharpen, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and wet the edges here and a little bit here of the indigo, and go down, and then again in here. There. Okay, if it goes down there, probably don't want this here. Probably not. I am going to hang out as background there. A little bit of sky. All right. I'm going to pull paintbrush. I'm going to pull feather here. Give a little more variety of light. Pull highlight there. And there we go. Have that edge now. Next one will probably go in here and darken that area. But I'm okay with what we have so far here. A little darker shade. All right. Now for eyes. We'll leave that one as is. Grab thick burnt sienna here. There. Give it a little bit of that glass look. I just that. Go in and the indigo this side. Give it, okay. A little shape there I don't like. I don't want to keep fussing with it though. So I'm going to use a burnt sienna on that side too. There is no highlight here. Careful. There's barely any highlight there. All right. Eyes. The eyes. Eyes, you. Smaller eye there. Eyes, folks. Eyes. They drive me crazy. All right. That's the second eye. You see how much lighter this is going. I'm going to dry it with our friend dryer. I like these explosions, these wet and wet explosive techniques that happen. They can be seen as mistakes, but I happen to think they are awesome. I happen to think they're awesome. Just grab our burnt sienna, and I'm going to add some burnt sienna here and there. Speaking of explosive techniques, mark out where I want some of these in here. I almost lost this one here, this wing here. There. I'm gonna pull this over so you could see a little better now. We don't need to see the mix. We all know what the colors are, right? I think we all know what the colors are. We don't need to see a little bit of my, see, I'm already losing my pencil areas. Just already losing the pencil areas. Hi, how are you? How are you? Don't mind me painting another owl. Don't mind me just, you know, painting another owl. Oh yeah, you're a big fan of bird watching? That's awesome. Yeah, I am a big bird lover for sure. Not sure in here what I did. Getting a little bit wet in my technique here. Now listen, just tone it down a little bit. It's a little too, see? There is a, I have a little bit of an issue that I'm seeing here. Lost. And let me see. Split end technique. I'm literally doing a feathering. It's getting the general movement of these feathers. I don't need them to be precise, excuse me. Now there is this little, there's a little, boom, boom. That's where that alula is. And just these smaller areas, I want to have those shadows right there, smaller. And mix this one here. There we go. See if we can lift that. If we can't, then really soften it. And that is more. Salute. That's my partner. Our space. Let's see now. I'm going to soften that edge up. Soften that edge up there. There is probably a little bit of a stronger. Define that belly. All right. That's pretty good. It's looking okay. Looking okay. We're building it slowly. Probably add some white after that. We could do a smaller one after this. Maybe painting if we can get through this, but let's get through this first. We'll get through this one first. We'll get through this one first, right? Not completely decided on the rest of this plan. Not completely decided on the rest of this plan. We have a deeper shadow that's happening here. We have more white that's going on here. We have more blue that should be happening here. The face needs work, is the long and short of it. The face needs some work. I like this area here. We probably have more going on in this little bottom area here. So let's get that right before we take another 5. A little too aggressive with that line there. Nothing bad. And I'll just grab that, split the ends, try it, split the ends. Give me the bit of soften this side here. I'm gonna soften it on that side too. Same thing, just soften it on both ends. Dries fast. Again, split ends. It's gonna go straight across the bottom area here. We need a lot more of this dark one here. Have those feathers right there. There is a little more of a line in there that I will explore later on. Those are the marking. Don't want that to have this angle here. Getting this another softening of that right there. Split in. So little feathers happening right there. I'm gonna lift up the rest in there. Something trying okay. All right, take a break, let this dry and come back, and we will see what we have going, where we want to add our darks and details, the dark details, and then we'll add some flares of Chinese white here and there, our markings. That'll be later. Oh, the little dots, we'll probably just do some splatter here and there. All right, I will see you in 5. We're back, and we're back. We're going to work on the face. So far, so good. So far, so good. Has a little bit more of an expressive look, not too stiff, which is the goal. I'd rather go a little loose than a little stiff, a little less accurate than accurate and overworked. That's always my fear, is that I overwork these things. We're going to use some big expressive strokes at the end with our more opaque colors, I think. Probably a nice goal to have. But first I'm going to work on these. I'm going to work on the face. See where we go from there. I think this is, so far I'm okay. So far so good, everyone. So far so good. Sending a few things straight. Board. Now what do we want to do? We'll go from left to right. All this we'll leave till later. There is a few things. Let's see. If I wet, I'm gonna wet away from, do the same thing here. Use this, we'll use a little yellow ochre for that edge on the side again, right at the top. And then right here, still along the edge here. So maybe a little too, and that there. And on this side here. All right, pretty good. Too bad, not too bad. I have to remember to breathe. I should have a breathe command. I should have a breathe command. Right, we have some things going on there, but let's get this side of the face, this whole area here. Now, I probably did more than I really wanted to in terms of the pencil, maybe a little too much. But I'm gonna wet it here, grab yellow, do a little bit of marking to give it some texture on that side. Same thing in here, this little split end. Again, we grab the burnt sienna. Excuse me, I'm losing a little bit of my voice there. Get a little bit of blue. Is that manganese blue? It's a little sharp. It could be interesting. I'm so nervous. Why am I so nervous? Let's combine this. Ooh, nervous. Very, very nervous. Expressiveness there. Mixing a few things in here. That mix going in there. Bleed down. There we go. I wanted to see bleed down a little shadow. Probably could use, I think that needs a little, that shadow needs to be blocked out a little better. I think I needed to block that out a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and blend it in with the background. And that's okay there. There. That little mix there is nice. Let's go back to the face. Trying to figure out. Uh-oh, I know what I used to run down on this side to blend it in a little bit here and a little bit, because it's not really all white, not colds and warms. Is that too heavy-handed? Let's soften it a little bit. And now it's not so bad. That doesn't look so extreme there. More here, and do the same thing. Scrub it and do this little split end scrubbing. Don't like them there, but owls aren't easy, folks. Owls are not easy. See that? Oof. All right, let's get those eyes. We're here, may as well. Let's just get the eye over. Let's get it over with. I'm going to use a rose madder with the indigo blue. Probably already too strong, but right into that corner. Don't cover up everything you did. Can't cover up everything we did. Right? Wet brush, that a little wetter. The other side, going to do the opposite. I'm going to use a marine blue with a touch of sepia to give the illusion of black as we kind of try to finish up. Again, don't paint the whole thing. Don't cover everything that you did. Painting most of it, but not all of it. This side should be, should be a little, same thing, clean it, wipe it down, and then just a little bit scrub to soften this a little bit. This actually has more white. I'm going to lift that. There we go. Go down into that beak. And I like the idea of doing that same rose madder. Let's try the rose madder on the bottom here. It's going to be very red, but then I'll bring in that Van Dyke brown. You'll see it should, ideally, we hope. See, that red does not look as bad as you would think, right? It's not as crazy as you'd think. Not as crazy an idea as you would think. I'm going to go in, grab the Van Dyke brown, and hit it right there. Come in. Actually, I need to do, it's probably sepia would have been better. I'm just going to drop in a dot of sepia in here. That was a mistake. That will do. All right. What are we going to use for that little tiny, I think that's okay. Break that up with some white later. See how dry, how light it's drying. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Add a little bit of water here, all the way down. Water all the way down. And this is just going to bleed. I'll let it bleed and do whatever it wants. There. Now over here, I'm noticing there's just not enough. It's going to dry lighter than this. And drop a little bit of water in each of those areas. Let it bloom. It's going to bloom. Patience here. And burnt sienna in that little mix on the beak here. Using much more opaque colors now. It's sepia. And it's that. And that beak. That beak is not being touched anymore. That beak is not going to be touched anymore. All right. All right. Let's get a little more black in certain areas here. Really have more contrast in these areas. All right. We separated that feather there. Let's get a little bit of that. Was not what I wanted to do. So we'll do. All right. I want to paint that aluna. How do we do that? That's going to be white. I'm going to leave that for now. We have a lot of markings here. Let's not rush this at all. All right, we have that shadow there. And then we're going to just give it a little bite. Do that. How do we do that? Just alternating our dark colors. Right, and that's good. Just define the outside of the edge. I don't really care too much if it's accurate or not, but we do want to define it nicely. Same thing here. Let's get I'm liking this Van Dyke brown. Liking the Van Dyke brown from Core more than the Indian yellow. I will say that. I will definitely say that. And this is going on really opaque. Really opaque. Whole edge. Nice and defined. Just to separate it all. You know? You know what I mean? Go in and I'm going to drop right in. Lift some of that. I didn't want that much white. It's too late for that. I had to decide how much we want to define. I'm not sure. It needs to emerge from this background here, right? Definitely needs to emerge. It's starting to do that here, right? It's starting to do that here. Oh, that whole shadow there. Wow, folks, this has been a thing, but fun, right? Tiring, but fun. Fun things can be tiring. A lot of times they are fun. They are tiring. Fun things can be tiring. Go ahead in here. There we go. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Just taking my time breathing. Got an hour. Probably not going to do another piece. So let's focus on this one, right? How time is going by quick. There are things I definitely don't like in this area here. Definitely not. Going to mark this. This is a square. Let's mark these areas down. Bleed this down. Keep that down. Contour. Not sure I like that, but grab some yellow ochre for that. It's gonna be. Get a nice thick burnt sienna. Grab. Ooh, much water. Too much water. Little by little, just these like edges, these areas that are right bottom edge over here. We got a little bit of a problem with this bottom edge over here. One thing I want to do is find this one. I'm going to use some white, but we have to use it smart. We have to be smart about how we use the white. Onto our area here. Up and see, like right here, there's a solid white area here. right in there. There's of course this right there. It's a little bit mark here. It's right. Oh, does not want to leave its mark. There is a little bit here. Start dropping so we know what we have. All right. There's another little block right here. And then in this dark, these darks over here, same thing here. Dropping it here and there, being super full to not ruin some of the things that we've done. Like right there, I think that was just a little bit. Leave that. Okay. And then in another area, let's see here. Grab a little bit of this yellow ochre. Excuse me, I could use a yellow ochre, but I'm using the quinacridone gold, and right above it there, right above it, all these loose feathers that I want to capture. That's why I like to use the quill brushes, because you could split those ends nicely. I'm going to make a set of mark, okay? Another set of marks right here. Ooh, all right. Have a nice little, there we go. That's going to make that line pop a little better. There's this whole area here that I'm not, here, I'm just going to do here. More or less, I know what I want to do there. Just a little dry brush on this end and let those areas blend, and those will bleed together. Same thing here, this spot right there. See, the paper can't really give you that texture as much. Can't really do that. This is a thing, folks. This is a thing. Let's alternate, and on this side, wait, what I wanted to. There we go. Do a gray of gray, which is pretty cold. We are going to. Forgot that I have class today. But these highlights are more gray. Oh shoot, that is not what I wanted. No. Let's water this down a lot. Until that, I know this seems a little cold, but I'm going to drop a little bit. Use it in blue. Drop shadow here. Get this shot. And then I'm going to grab that indigo. Okay, do something same here. All right, not bad. I don't mind that at all. That I do mind. Over here. Here I definitely want to add a little bit too much gray on that white. I do. Just let's get that a little softer. And there. And then I'm going to right here, right? This edge is a very tricky one. This is here. Another area right there. This is all. Find this edge here, because that one I think is more important to find right here. All right, face going pretty good. And this looks like it's white, but it's not. It's a John Brilliant, a famous John Brilliant. Oops, that was not what we wanted. Wipe off the brush. Here, right here, there is a sharp white area here that we pop that one area right there. I'm gonna leave that side for now. Careful how we add that white. I'm not too crazy about what happened there. Going to, let's get this edge here. Now it's starting to emerge from the background, little by little. It's starting to emerge from the background here. There we go here, and come back in. Sweep that white here. And this face, that's challenging. Little by little, we're figuring it out. It's wrong. Gonna leave it, and then we're going to go and take one more break, and then we'll come back and see if we could finish this off. There's quite a bit to do, but we're going to try to get it done in about half an hour. So last 5-minute break. We'll see in a bit. Elite. This is it. Clean the water.
Oh, nice. This is an interesting set of colors. I like the white color. Yeah, I like more color saturation, but I like this
contrast. All right, I'm going to. You have a meeting? Okay. All right, home stretch, everyone. Charlie, Mac, thank you for the kind words as always. I really appreciate your support. Thank you all my lurkers. Awesome. We have a little bit to go. We are trying to wrap up, folks, because I forgot that I have work soon. This is about done. I don't want to do too much more in here because I think it looks okay. And quite honestly, I'm afraid of overdoing it. I am going to touch up these eyes really quickly. And I think I want to just add just here and there really quick. This is more to shape the eye, you know. I like to go ahead and see if this would look. No, that's not right. That is not quite right. This has a little more definition to it. There's a little more space there. There we go. And it's right there. And then I want some indigo to define this outer edge here. There we go. Yes, there we go. I like that much better. That eye is way too dark. We have to darken the opposite eye. And what I'm going to do is just grab indigo and sepia to make almost absolute black. So this is sepia and indigo, and that'll give me an absolute black and make it pop, really pop, compared to, again, right there, because that is way too, there we go. Okay. Little too much, I think. It's a little too hard. Little too hard. Let's move it in danger of can right in. There we go. All right. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let's get a nice edge of white on this side. Little, I could do this forever, everyone. Do this forever. But I shouldn't do it forever because I did it forever. I would overwork it. So we don't want to overwork things. This little stripe white right there. This little stripe white right here. There's a lot of white there. Actually, massage it in there. Then again over here. Oh, I think I overdid that. I don't like that whatsoever. I don't like that. Let's just go make it some solid blocks. Fussing here. That's better. See, too much white, honestly. Too much white. Yeah, see that? That's better. Our friend over here, get the shadow right. The shadow is more or less right. Let's not try to get every feather here. All right, and I'm gonna hit this right here. Had a little bit of a jump scare. A little bit of a jump scare there. Got a thing going on that is pretty hilarious in our home here. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I don't just blend it in. See other areas that I want to hit with the white. Actually, I might want to hit with the John Brilliant and do that. Get that in there. There is some here and there. Not too much because, again, overpainting. I don't want to do any overpainting. This one here, that's an edge I don't like at all. Hey, great Emma, bite the apple. Yes, I do. I do need a little bit of a snack. Thank you. I've got about 15, 20 something minutes. Oh, thank you, Artful Turkey. Excuse the whole eating with my mouth, talking with while I'm eating, while I'm chewing. Some details here that I want to hit in the shadows, like right here, right there. There's definitely some separation that I did not get in there. There's a little edge that I think I lost in here. And thank you. Let's see if we can grab this area here. I think that's pretty. Oh no, that is not what I wanted, but that worked okay. I was like, I've known Turkey through Twitch for 4 years. That's awesome. Ages. Ages. Gravely, are you on my Discord? You don't have to join, but I'd like you to join. I'm trying to get a nice, fun watercolor community going. Hopefully, where we all sort of at least know each other. A few licks here and there, just soften here and there areas. These are not accurate at all. Someone told me in one of the classes that I work in, they said that the worst people to paint birds, like in terms of watercolor, are birders. And I was like, what? That's how dare you? Those are fighting words. But well, the reason she said is her partner, her husband is an avid birder, and the whole goal of trying to get some accuracy sort of crushes the whole point of having the ability to do a nice painting rather than this like science experiment. I'll grab some white and then just little sound effects. We need the sound there. Actually, just realized something. There's a whole other tale here that's supposed to be happening. What did I do? What did I do there? All right, I'm gonna take it personally, everyone. All right, you're all telling me to shut up and paint. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me get that apple. Hold on a second. I swear, I'm gonna get it right now. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, grab the apple. Grab the apple. I swear I'm gonna grab the apple. I swear. Really, for reals. Take another bite. Goodness. As who I'm sure. Oh my. I just wiped my mouth with this. Thankfully, there's no cadmiums in my. There's no cadmium in my palette. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. There's a lot of markings here. I'm going to use controlled splatter. How about that? I'm going to use a bit of cadmium and Manganese. Oh my goodness, I do have manganese in there. I moved away from cerulean and I went to manganese. I'm like, well, it's still a metal. What am I doing? What am I doing here? It's still a metal. All right, let's do a little bit of contrasty. Is this fellow here has is this gonna work? Come on. Hello, are you gonna work or not? Well, that's not that, but it's okay. That's not exactly controlled. Okay, we have just trying to land them on certain areas here and there. There's a whole bunch over here. And there's a whole bunch over these dots. We have a lot more dark going on here. And in fact, I just realized that. Where do I see this? There, it's better. It's still like to see a little more. Okay, it's nicer. As a matter of fact, that's gonna be much nicer. And then you posted some of your artwork on. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. So what I'm going to do is grab and take that sepia, do like a little stippling effect to enhance those certain areas where here there's a lot of these markings. And I like these markings because they really bring out a lot of just pop. Oh, keep going, grabbing. That's a little too dark. Let's get that. Let's tone that down. Too strong. There we go. That was too strong. Can I recommend a channel to add to? Yes. A Twitch channel? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Please do. That's the whole point of that's the whole point of that Discord, is to share without a doubt. Time check. I definitely have to leave by, why is this not leave by, what time do I have to leave by? 5:30. Trying to do these pretty close up. Same thing over here. There is a, grab this Van Dyke Brown sepia and give this a, all right. Boom, 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 boom. And then there are boom, boom, boom. Lots of sound effects. Sound effects make this happen way more enjoyably. That bot hates you? Which bot is that? My bots hate me today, so don't take it, don't take it personally. They hate me too. They've decided to go on strike. I'm all for labor organizing, but I mean, I don't think I'm mean. Doesn't like the word no, it does not like that word. It does not like that word. Or it definitely does not. All right, I'm going to grab the white to give this contrast here and there, and definitely really hit it on that side. All right, that's looking pretty okay. Is that a good assessment? Okay, just pretty okay. It's not terrible, it's not great, it's just on the okay level. Let's get that. Ooh, how are we supposed to discuss delicious canned ham? I don't know, do you like the little Viennese sausages, the canned Viennese sausages? Those are good. Those are pretty good. Nothing wrong with those. All right, I think I'm going to, let's get some, and I'm going to add some gold in there. Get rid of that one real quick. Bye. Get that one real quick. Bye. That one real quick. Bye. And that one real quick. Bye. All right, done? Are we done? I think we're done, right? If I keep going, I'm going to botch this. You know what I mean? I think everybody knows what I mean. I could add white, I could do all this stuff, but if I keep going, I am pretty certain I will wreck this thing. Actually, I am going to wreck it. 1 second. Let's get this. There. Done. Done and done. How many are there of us? Because I never, ever, ever have my viewer count up. And are we set to do a raid, or am I saying, oh, I think I'm saying goodbye, folks. I gotta log on to work. Unless, does somebody have something right now that we can do? If not, I apologize to my fellow Twitch people, but I'm on thin ice at work as it is. Thin ice is work as it is. All right, everyone. We have something really nice, really special. You all made it happen. Thank you, everyone. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.